The Heresy clan name is well known to any inhabitant of Chthoniya. One of the major mining companies that called out the heart of the world, Gedifron was the fifth son of a distant relative to that dynasty. Miraculously, Gedifron survived the Astartes trials and joined his brothers in the stars to claim an empire for mankind. Recruited towards the dying days of M31, Heresy knew the Legion as the Sons of Horus and owed little to the martial traditions of the Lunar Wolves. By this time, fanaticism, devotion to the cause, and the cult of personality overtook the strictures of the Principia Bellicosa. Gedifron gained rapid promotion through the ranks, through his connections within the fraternal lodges, and was given a battlefield commission as captain during the purges of Istvan III. Indeed, his first command as captain was to open fire upon his brothers. Daubed in the mantle of a conqueror, however ill-fitting for such a creature, Gedifron now leads a spearhead of the Legion's Elite Justaerin, carrying the will of Abaddon and the War Master into the Age of Darkness. And welcome to this video tutorial. I guess it's a reflection on this miniature that I've built to lead my Justaerin force. So during lockdown, we all needed a project. Hashtag Return to Istvan was a thing. We wanted to return back to the original books and started to play through these well-loved, if underused, scenarios in the initial trilogy. So Abaddon is leading my force, but when he doesn't need to be present, or when I need to lose, or when there's a scenario which requires most of my guys to die, I needed a beat stick. I needed a guy to lead the force when Abaddon wasn't present. Step forward, Gedifron Heresy, the charmer that he is. From the opening dialogue, I think you could guess my opinion on the Sons of Horus. I don't like them. I don't like the character of the Sons of Horus at all. They're swaggering, they're bullying, they're utterly lethal, and they have a real kind of like alpha male type 1 personality complex about them. I'd hate to be anywhere near these guys. But I guess you need these sort of undesirable qualities if you do want to conquer a galaxy in less than 200 years. I mean, light doesn't travel that fast across the galaxy. And being the preeminent Legion, it's no wonder that went to their heads. Another thing, the older I get, the less heroic my character seems to become. My Blood Angel Praetor, he's a self-sacrificing and he's rather handy with a blade. He falls into a very typical, I guess, caricature archetype for that Legion, or that the base. Well, to date, he's rather handy with a blade. So he's taken the head of a champion from each of the traitor legions so far. So he is very, very skilled at what he does. But does this make him an interesting character? No. It makes him rather dull. So Sanguinius' gene seed, it aggressively overwrites the base template. So it aggressively rewrites the DNA of a human being, to the point where there's not much humanity left. It's completely overridden by the will of the Primarch, by Sanguinius. That's why the Blood Angels are so close to their Primarch. That's why the Black Rage ravaged the Legion after the Siege of Horus, because they no longer had that link to a living Sanguinius. It was dead. The trauma of his death resounded for 10,000 years. But the Blood Angels at this time were remade nearly in their totality in the image of the Primarch, reflecting his ideals, his values, and his thought processes. And these things are driven by otherworldly motivations. Motivations towards duty, towards the Emperor, towards the Empire, towards whatever he thinks of the Imperial truth. Gedifron isn't like that. He wants power. He wants the power to practice his petty spite and exercise his might over the weak on a galactic scale. This is the galactic scale bully. He wants to put worlds to the swords to fire. because he's picking at some mental scab of trauma incessantly. He can't let it go. Something in his past has driven him to do this. He got this power, but it wasn't through his own merit. It was because, as is common in these sorts of regimes, he got this power through his devotion to the cause and his proximity to power. Now, the legions are completely unforgiving, and the Sons of Horus and the Lunar Worlds before them very much like to think of themselves as operating on a meritocracy. However, the fraternal lodges, the internal lodges, kind of put a lie, make that a lie. The Mercy name would have resounded. They would have known, the characters in this world would have known the Mercy name, because it's one of the ruling families of Chthoniya. In order to rule on Chthoniya, you need to be strong and ruthless. It didn't matter that he was a far-flung byblow, a offshoot of a cousin of a far distant relative, Mercy. He'd be inducted into the clans, he'd be inducted into this fraternal lodge, from which he'd have access to Abaddon and the upper structures of command. He would be rubbing shoulders with them. Despite his ineligibility as a wartime commander, despite his, dare I say it, incompetence, he certainly got promoted far quicker than he would have on a sole meritocracy, on his merits. He got there because the Mercy name was strong and he had strength associated with it. He became part of the Justaerin because of his fanaticism towards Abaddon and Horus. He gained a battlefield commission because Mercy's in that quadrant. I'll give it to him. All these little incidents, all because of the illusion of strength and the fraternal bonds that they have alongside one another. Is he good with a blade? Yeah, he likes to think so. Is he a keen strategist? In the way that all Praetors are of this age, even though he is ineligible, one might say, for this battle, for this command, he's still cunning enough. He can still draw battle plans, but in any other legion, he would not have ascended this far this quickly. Whether he makes it through the Age of Darkness, I have no idea. I need to play the games. But if he does make it through the other side, well, it certainly won't be through his heroism. It'll probably be because he's been sent to some off-standing world to just simply butcher the population and make him feel like a conqueror. That's why he looks like Horus. He wears the trappings of a conqueror. He wears the trappings of Horus. He looks heroic. When push comes to shove, who knows? Okay, painting and modelling. I was rather keen to explore the concept of tenebrism that I talked about in the previous video. Extreme light and shadow, but I don't think I quite fulfilled it with this miniature. There are variations in hue, like the cloak, for example. There are variations in hue, but it doesn't plunge into pure black. It did influence my style of basing, using dark cindered wood in contrast to the bright embers, and there is a tutorial via the Patreon that you can view right now on this. And speaking of which, the entire masterclass series for this miniature will be available via the Patreon. So we'll be covering the skin tones, the black, the true metallic, and those embers on the base. Everything you see there, including the wolf cloak, which we already have a PDF up of, that you can view right now. Okay, so one of the joys of painting is seizing opportunities. No matter how haphazardly they fall in your lap. I'm an opportunist. And when I bundled the glaze over his scalp, it sort of looked like stubble or fine short hair. So I think, okay, let's go with it. That's happened. I guess we're doing that. The hairline was built up by mixing a little bit of dark grey into the base mixture and carefully stippled over and over and over again. I considered where my primary light source was, and then I added a slight amount of lighter skin tone into this. Something like elf flesh, I can't remember exactly, but it is in my notes, and it will be available in the full video tutorial. And then you build it up again and again and again, these tiny little stippled little dots built up again and again and again and again and again to create the effect. Okay, the parts list, because I all know you're asking that. The parts list, what did I use for this conversion? Well, I'm glad to say it's this entire, speech, this entire dialogue is available on the LilLegend Studio website. So if you prefer to read this instead of me read, if you prefer to read yourself rather than be read at, it's all up there. Okay, so the parts list: body and claw, Lugfoot Huron by Forge World. The arms are from the Cataphracti Praetor by Forge World. The head is taken from the Mark II Command Squad. I need to change that in my notes. Mark II Command Squad from Forge World. The cloak is from Asterion Moloch, which is the Minotaur special character that comes in Tartaros armor plate. The sword is from the limited edition Horus Praetor from Forge World. Base, and I still can't believe you didn't get this, Alex, from the Death and Betrayal podcast. Abaddon versus Loken diorama. And the wolf mantle and additional materials come from Horus. So the wolves, the eye, and any other details on there that you can't easily recognize, I shaved very, very, very carefully off Horus, the Horus miniature. It's one of the great things about being a commission painter. You get the best bits box in the universe. So here he is. My mean, spiteful bully of a Praetor, Gedefron Mercy. Pray you never encounter him on the battlefield, because he does not fight fair. Thank you very much for listening and for watching this video. If you'd like to find out how this miniature is painted, indeed how to achieve this Justaerin black, there's already a full masterclass course up available on the Patreon already for $15. That's about £12 of your hard-earned cash, and you get access to everything. Over 5 years worth of materials are on there at the moment, covering everything from black to dreadnoughts to material studies to this wolf to stippling hair. There's so much material, and you can find the entire breakdown of the Patreon via the Grand Index on LilLegendStudio.com. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the next vid.